Volkmer. You're listening to Goodland's Rocket 102.5, KCI FM, Goodland Colby, and NWKS radio station.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Prosecutors say they'll seek the ultimate punishment, a death sentence for Charlie Kirk's accused assassin if he is convicted. 22-year-old Tyler Robinson faces 7 charges, including aggravated murder, according to Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray. The UK has rolled out the red carpet for President Trump and the First Lady Melania. The first couple's historic state visit to England now underway. Following all of today's royal pomp, tomorrow the president will get down to business. He'll hold talks with Prime Minister Starmer at Chequers. We expect to hear from the Federal Reserve later today about interest rates. A cut, the first of the year, is expected. Could be a quarter-point reduction, perhaps even more. When watching Wall Street this morning, stock futures still mixed. Dow futures up 42 points, while the NASDAQ futures are down 8 points. More details at srnnews.com.
When you bundle renters and auto with Progressive, you can save while protecting your most valuable possessions, like your priceless vinyl collection. Sure, you sleep on a futon because the money most people would have spent on a bed you spent on more records. But forget the fact that you can stream just about any song ever created for a few dollars a month. No, you need to listen to music in the most difficult way possible. So go ahead and get Progressive so you can save while protecting the things that matter to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline, so I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The insurance agency. Insurance the way it should be.
Convenience just got an upgrade. Farmers State Bank of Oakley is excited to announce the opening of our brand new ATM along Highway 40, right next to Sonic Drive-In. Whether you're grabbing a snack or on the go, you can quickly access your cash without the detour. It's banking made easy, right where you need it. Farmers State Bank of Oakley, member FDIC.
Coming to you with NWKS Radio News, I'm Connor Schuh. According to Colby Community College Public Relations Director Doug Johnson, the school has hired a new art instructor, Carson Norton. He's a nationally recognized sculptor and painter and has joined the faculty as an adjunct art instructor. The Thomas County Economic Development Alliance is hosting a housing resource workshop from 5:30 Central to 6:30 tonight. It'll be held in the conference room in the Thomas County office complex, so be there where they'll be highlighting the Thomas County Revitalization Program. So go there tonight if you are interested in that. For these stories and more area news, go to nwksradio.net for more.
Scattered showers and storms will continue from overnight early this morning, with less widespread showers persisting through the day. Another round of strong to some severe storms is possible later this afternoon, south of I-70, with highs in the low to mid-70s, with mostly cloudy skies and northwesterly winds at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, some light showers are possible, otherwise stays cloudy. Lows in the lower 50s with some western areas in the upper 40s. And then tomorrow, an upper-level low-pressure system will keep temperatures cool. Highs in the 70s, and there is a chance for some showers and thunderstorms throughout the day. Overnight, the skies will clear out. Lows will drop to around 50. Then Friday and Saturday, a ridge of high pressure will lead to sunny skies, drier weather conditions with light west winds turning to the south, with Highs in the 80-85 degree range and lows 50 to 55. This meteorologist Chris Schromick in the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Are pests making your home or business uncomfortable? Call Pest Away in Goodland, Kansas, serving all of Northwest Kansas. They provide top-notch pest control services to keep your space safe and pest-free. From ants to rodents, termites to spiders, our expert team is here to help with effective, safe, and affordable pest control solutions. Don't wait. Call Pest Away today at 785-728-7166 for fast, reliable service. Your home or business deserves the best protection.
When you gotta go, but there's nowhere to go, who you gonna call? Topside Portables and Pumping, that's who. Weddings, job sites, farm parties, they've got clean, reliable porta potties that don't stink, literally. And if your septic tank smells worse than last year's chili cook-off, they'll pump it out fast. No mess, no fuss. Family owned, Heartland values, always ready. Call 785-728-8089. That's 728-8089. Topside Portables and Pumping. When duty calls, they answer.
As kids head back to school, it's the perfect time to get your home and yard ready for fall. At Hooper Lumber Ace Hardware in Colby and Goodland, they've got you covered. From all-season ultimate fertilizer and building materials to cozy patio heaters and furniture. Fire up family meals with a Traeger grill or Blackstone griddle and give your home a new look with Benjamin Moore paints. Whatever your project, big or small, Hooper Lumber Ace Hardware is here to help. That's Hooper Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby. Your community, your projects, your ace. Shift your career into high gear with Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. They're hiring a service and parts advisor and a lube tech, and they want you on their team. You'll get competitive pay, full-time hours, health insurance, a 401k, and plenty more benefits, all while working with the crew that keeps the tri-state area moving. So don't idle. Apply today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Your next career is waiting right there under the hood.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland, and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4! It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
The amount of money getting thrown around to quarterbacks who haven't done diddly squat is amazing to me.
And Connor Schuh.
He's the new guy.
The High Plains only local sports talk show, broadcasting live on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 and video streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
Covering it all from the preps.
He's at the 10, the 5, he dives for the end zone, he's in! Touchdown, Cowboys!
To the pros.
Line drive, left field, base hit. Here comes McMahon, he'll score! Ball game!
The Blitz is presented by Hurl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank. Along with
Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell, the Insurance Agency, Pest Away LLC, Topside Portables and Pumping, and the Farmer State Bank in Oakley.
Let's go to work.
High fly ball, deep center field. Gary Carpenter has done it! No way!
Fly ball, deep right field, and Dom can zone! A 3-homer game! The 12th Mariner in franchise history with a hat trick.
Served by Landfair to the middle back. Good pass, Preisinger outside. Ava Martin. Dog Olivia. Now for the set. Back set. Virginia Adriano. Kaboom! She's hotter than Alabama asphalt. She had 7 kills in the third set alone.
Blasted. Center field. And... oh, it disappears! He has homered on back-to-back pitches seen tonight. It may never...
It is the Morning Blitz here on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 and NWKSradio.net. Good Wednesday morning, everybody. Glad you're with us here on the Morning Blitz. Glad everyone could be a part of the show today. Oh my, what an interesting night that was. At least for our people further up to the north. My goodness, talk about some rain that came pouring down. 10 inches of rain. Some reports up in McCook, Nebraska. I've seen the Weather Service report around half of that. I think it kind of depends on where you were, but last night was not a fun night to be on severe weather. That's a fact because it started early and it went late and it was just sitting there. And by golly, there was a lot of rain that came down in listening area. I saw Colby didn't get very much. You get a little sprinkle there, Connor?
We got a little bit. It was more so just a bunch of lightning and no real action because I was getting ready to go to bed.
Had a light show.
Yeah, like 10 o'clock. I mean, cracked the window a little bit, got a little bit of that rain sound. It was pretty nice, but it didn't rain as much as I thought.
Man, I tell you, walking out the door this morning, coming up to the studio, take a deep breath of that nice moisture in the air. Oh, it's a great smell. Love that. Absolutely fantastic. But
was there some hail going on up north?
Oh, yeah. Huge hail. Like baseball size hail was recorded in McCook, Nebraska. Had baseball size hail. I saw 1.25 inches, which would be kind of golf ball size. It was big hail up north. Some very, very big hail. So feel bad for those people up there because that's going to do some major damage. But yeah, very crazy weather night last night. Luckily, really none of it hit here in Goodland. Just got some nice heavy rain, which about 1/2 inch of moisture. But yeah, I've Raleigh had the rainfall reports come in, seen anywhere from, 10 points all the way up to, like I said, that whatever they had in McCook, 5.5 up to 10 inches of rain, depending on where you were. It was quite a widespread deal. But then right when I went to bed, I looked at the radar and like almost half of the state of Nebraska was covered by some sort of precipitation.
Jeez.
Just rain. It's like, look, see, I come from a farming background. So my folks are farmers, as most people know on this program. And this is one of the few summers that, and probably in many years of my dad farming now for, 40 years. And anyway, of those years farming for him. And this is the one that they've had the most rain over the course of the summer. I mean, it's been a ridiculously wet summer, particularly where my folks live. So, yeah.
Maybe a good year for growing or too much water?
Well, that depends on how you look at it. It's great because you're not pumping water or irrigating as much, which is awesome. But everyone else is getting that rain too. So it'd be great if crop prices weren't exactly as bad as they are.
Yeah, right.
But that's part of the deal. That is part of the deal. But anyway, glad you're with us here on the Morning Blitz. We got a lot to get to on today's program. We will be discussing our college football Power 5 in here a little bit. We're going to get to some high school volleyball results a little bit later on. Golly, I was going through some records last night. So, I always like to kind of wait and see. And, we're not even halfway through the season yet, maybe 1/3 of the way through it for high school volleyball. But I wanted to kind of go and look and see what the records were for some of the area teams. I'm telling you, there are some really good records out in Northwest Kansas for volleyball. So we'll get to that coming up a little bit later on in the program. Michael Bruntz will join the program as well. There's a big game up in Lincoln, Nebraska this weekend. Nebraska takes on Michigan for a humongous game, and we'll be discussing that with Michael Bruntz coming up here at the bottom of the hour. So that's all coming up on today's program. Anything else this morning? Did you do anything fun last night besides listen to it kind of rain?
I watched the Guardians get a win in game number 1 against the Detroit Tigers.
Yep. The highlight there was Kerry Carpenter tying it in the 9th, but the Guardians exploded after that, made him mad, and took care of business.
4 straight extra base hits to open the 10th. That's what happens.
Hey, anyway, you got to get your wins. But yeah, so anyway, we got plenty to get to on the program today. I was watching Nebraska volleyball take on Creighton, where last night there was a record crowd set for indoor volleyball. Over 17,600 watched awesome. Nebraska against Creighton. The one of these highlight calls was the great John Baylor, the Nebraska play-by-play volleyball voice. Did you listen to the end of this call? It's fantastic.
Served by Landfair to the middle back. Good pass, Preisinger outside. Ava Martin. Dog Olivia. Now for the set. Back set. Virginia Adriano. Kaboom! She's hotter than Alabama asphalt. She has.
That's great.
Hotter than Alabama asphalt.
I mean,
That's a great line.
Always unstoppable. Did you watch the game last year where they played in the football stadium and they packed that place?
Oh,
Or was
yeah.
that 2 years ago?
Dude, it was 2 years ago. And I don't know any Nebraskan that hasn't seen that. I mean,
That was
that's been
awesome.
Put all over the place. Yeah, that was nuts. Yeah, that was nuts and a lucky deal, too, because that stadium, the wind swirls in there, and any sort of a semi-windy day would have caused that to be quite an interesting volleyball match. So
A lot of
lucky to
service
get that in.
errors, I'm sure, if that was a little windier.
Yeah. So anyway, last night, fun night watching some volleyball for yours truly. But yeah, we got a lot of things to get to here in today's program. Let's get things rolling. We got our college football Power 5 to get to. Let's get rolling. It's week number 4. As everybody knows on this show, we like to start with an honorable mention game. And so if you have them, bring them to the table. You have an honorable mention game this weekend?
I do. It's looking at the schedule. There's not a ton of great ranked matchups, so you got to look a little bit deeper. And I see a high major / mid major matchup that almost doesn't feel like it because the team that the high major team is playing, that being Arkansas, they're playing Memphis, and they've always felt like kind of a cut above of most of the other mid major teams playing in the American, but they're always pretty good, and they're playing on ABC on Saturday, I should say, at 11 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Mountain. And that's going to be a fun matchup. I mean, Memphis is always pretty good and very competitive in the American. They always seem to duke it out with kind of the mid-level high major teams. And Arkansas is kind of towing that line. They have a really good quarterback, Taylor Green, that's fun to watch. And I think that's just going to be a solidly close game,
My honorable mention game has a couple of head coaches that intrigue me. North Carolina at Central Florida, going to be in the afternoon. You got Bill Belichick, who has gotten a couple wins under his belt at the collegiate game after really getting it handed to him against TCU. Now, granted, those wins were against Richmond and Charlotte. So, and they weren't, and even though they beat Richmond 41-6, they only beat Charlotte 20-3. It wasn't like it was a beatdown.
Not inspiring.
So, I don't know about that. And then you have Central Florida. Back coaching the Knights is Scott Frost after his unbelievable year, national championship, quote unquote, year for him there, as they've dubbed it.
That was such a fun year.
Yeah, it was a very interesting year to say the least. But the Knights are off to a 2-0 start as we go into week number 4. They had an early season win over Jacksonville State, took by the skin of their teeth, 17-10. And then they took care of North Carolina A&T, who's probably better known for their band than they are for their football team, 68-7. So this game is actually a really good. We kind of finally get to see where Scott Frost is in game 3 with UCF, because I think North Carolina. Well, I know North Carolina is their best opponent, even though North Carolina hasn't looked that great, if we're being completely honest. So yeah, this game fascinates me for the coaching matchup. Got one of the better coaches ever. That's now in college football, and a college football coach that had really one great year. And other than that, it's kind of been a fall from grace for him. So this game fascinates me. I'm intrigued to see how it turns out and how it looks.
Nebraska legend, Scott Frost.
He is a legend, a player, that's for sure. And he's probably a legend as a coach, but not in a good way. 6.5 point favorites are the Knights at home in the bounce house, as they like to call it. That's my honorable mention game. All right, moving on in the
Power 5, number 5.
Number 5.
Got the 5 for you.
It's an interesting one. I think it's two teams that have underperformed a little bit, both in the same conference. That's NC State and Duke at Duke. So NC State coming into this year, not a lot of hype, but they have a pretty intriguing quarterback prospect by the name of CJ Bailey. He's this big 6'6" kid who I think is only a sophomore who can really sling it. And he's been promising in the first few weeks, and now they get their first taste of real conference play against a Duke team who's underperformed a little bit with their crown jewel transfer quarterback, Darian Mensah from Tulane.
$4 million quarterback at Duke. Ridiculous.
And they lost to Tulane last week. So
his school.
Yeah. So they're probably not happy. I doubt Darian Mensah is very happy. And I'm sure they want to go out there and stick it to NC State, but NC State's not bad. They are better than I'd say they typically are in the ACC.
They're just a great, solid program.
Yeah.
Dave Doran, their head coach, has been very consistent there. He's done a good job. They're a good program. Not great, but really good.
Yeah, I might be downplaying them a little bit, and that's not fair. But a good team, and that's just a solid, I think, middle-of-the-road ACC matchup. I mean, you watch that, and you're going to get a close football game.
My number 5 is a very interesting game. It's an old Southwest Conference rivalry game, and it's a battle of shortened names. SMU at TCU. SMU at TCU. Look, the Mustangs are coming off a low-scoring win at Missouri State. Not very inspiring. They lost to Baylor in double overtime, but the Mustangs are a team that was in the college football playoff. They still have their quarterback, Kevin Jennings, who's very dangerous with both his arm and his legs. He's had 6 touchdown passes, but 3 picks so far this year. They're a very, very good football team. Very good football team. Maybe haven't looked like it at times, but I think they've got a lot of talent there at SMU. They're taking on a TCU team that has looked the part at this point in time. They might be one of the more better-looking teams in the Big 12 early on. Now, they've only played 2 games. We all remember that first game, though. They took it to Bill Belichick in North Carolina.
Josh Hoover's the man.
48-14. They then played 2 weeks later, last week, Abilene Christian, 42-21. They beat them. But, yes, Josh Hoover, 48 of 63, completing well over 65% of his passes with 6 touchdowns and just 1 pick. TCU looks really good. They're 6.5-point favorites at home against SMU. I love this game. I think it's very entertaining and a very good game. Could be a lot of points scored. Over under at 64.5.
I think that's an air show, especially with Jennings versus Hoover. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Should be a lot of fun to watch. My number 5, once again, SMU at TCU. Moving on.
The Power 5, number 4.
This one might be a little higher on your list, maybe, but this would be number 21, Michigan at the Huskers. I think that might be a little bit of a defensive battle. I think Dylan Raiola is coming into year number 2, and obviously he's got a lot of hype on your shoulders. I don't know how you feel about him necessarily as a Huskers guy, but I think he's going to be pretty good, and I think he played pretty well against their one high major opponent so far in Cincinnati, and they took care of business against Houston Christian, of course, last week. And then Michigan hyped a little bit coming into the year, especially in terms of their quarterback position with Bryce Underwood, the young man, the freshman. But the rest of their team, no one's thinking they're going to be national championship contenders, so they're going to have to prove it a little more against a team like Nebraska, who's usually middle of the road in the Big Ten, to a little bit higher up, kind of teetering around. And this year, I think they finish in the top half of the Big Ten, and they're going to be a solid team. They have the number 7 scoring defense in college football right now, 8 points per game allowed. And I think they might give Michigan and Bryce Underwood some fits. Michigan's favored by 2.5 on the road at Nebraska. So if you're looking for defense, I feel like this might be a good one to watch. I mean, that's been Michigan's calling card for so long. And I think that's what we expect. Maybe a little bit of 13-10 type of action.
This is my number 4 game as well, is where it sits. Lots of interesting factoids here. First big time fact, Nebraska hasn't beaten a top 25 foe since 2016. That's 27 straight losses since they've beaten a top 25 team. Here's another chance to beat a Michigan team that is not the same Michigan team that came in 2 years ago and beat your pants off. That was the year that Harbaugh went on and won a national championship. Nebraska's offense has looked very, very good, very potent, got great threats on the outside. They've ran the ball well. Dylan Raiola has looked good. This is a great matchup of young star quarterbacks. Dylan Raiola was the number 2 overall quarterback in the class of 2024. Bryce Underwood was the number 1 overall quarterback and player in the class of 2025. So they have very, very high ceilings to these 2 quarterbacks. Nebraska they're the number 1 pass defense in the nation, but rushing the football has looked stopping the run at times has looked a little iffy because they're just not big. They're fast on the defensive line, and that has got a massive concern for a lot of Nebraska fans, because how are they going to slow down Michigan's run game? Because Justice Hayes is a really good running back for Michigan. He is powerful and he's fast.
No Ty Robinson to stop him.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult task to slow down the Michigan running game. I think the game hinges on that. If Nebraska slows down Michigan's running attack, I feel like Nebraska's pass defense and their cornerback is going to be able to slow down Bryce Underwood and the passing attack. And Nebraska's offense, I think, will score enough points. Even though Michigan's got a great defense, I think they'll score enough points to get it done. But if Nebraska can't stop the run, make it 28 straight losses to ranked teams. So, yeah, that's my number 4 game as well. Nebraska hosting Michigan here on the College Football Power 5. All right, moving on to
number 4.
Number 3. Sorry. What do we got for 3?
A little new school SEC football we've got.
New school.
So Auburn, not so new school in the SEC, number 22.
Yeah, original OG.
Yeah, against Oklahoma, and who's number 11 in the nation. And Oklahoma has impressed much more than Auburn this year. Auburn got Baylor in week 1 by 2 scores, which was a pretty impressive win given Baylor has, who I think is one of the better college football quarterbacks right now, in Sawyer Robertson. It was very entertaining to watch and is just an incredible passer, but they stopped him enough and were able to put up 38 on Baylor, which was pretty impressive, and then took care of business at Ball State, but then kind of struggled against South Alabama, only beat them 31-15, which is probably not what you're looking for against a lower group of 5 opponent. And conversely, Oklahoma has taken care of business. They had that big week 1 win against Michigan. And after that, they have simply just done what they needed to do, or I should say week 2 against Michigan. They beat up on Temple in the American Conference. And I heard some people saying Temple might be okay this year. So that's a pretty solid win, 42-3. And they took care of Illinois State in week 1. But Oklahoma's John Mateer, one of my favorite quarterbacks in college football. Just so much fun to watch. He's a little turnover prone, but he's a dynamic player, can run with the best of them, has a great arm. Say what you can say about him. And on the other side, Auburn has a dynamic quarterback as well, Jackson Arnold, who's, I think there's questions with his arm. I mean, he played at Oklahoma last year, so that's what makes this matchup even more sweeter, or even sweeter. And he struggled for Oklahoma last year, so they're probably trying to take it to the guy who jumped ship from their program, and Jackson Arnold probably wants to give it back to the team that he couldn't really have the success with and wants to show that he's a better quarterback and he can do it with Auburn and Hugh Freeze. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Both teams have proved to have solid offenses and are sound enough on the defensive side of the ball. So, again, I feel like this is going to be fairly even. I'd take Oklahoma, especially being at home, and I think they're favored. Right now, the line is, I think, 6.5, if I remember correctly. Let's just take
let me see here. Oklahoma, Auburn. Where am I at on that? It's a late game. Let's see here. Late game.
6.5, yes.
6.5. Okay.
That's actually 2:30 Central Time.
2:30. Okay.
Yeah, so middle of the day, if you're looking for something to watch, that's the game. But it's at the same time as the Nebraska-Michigan game, so kind of button heads.
Won't be watching that. Catch the highlights later.
Yes.
My number 3 game, I'm going the big noon kickoff game, Texas Tech at Utah, 17-16. 2 3-0 teams. The early lead in the Big 12 is on the line between these 2 teams. I think you have well, I don't want to say the Texas Tech is the big up-and-coming program in the Big 12. They've got all the money. They're going to start to flex that and show that. Utah, with Kyle Whittingham, as long as he's there, they're going to be a really good football team. Last year was an abomination. It was a random thing. This year, they're much better. Love about this game, if you love offense, watch this game. Top 15 offenses in the nation. 2 of the top 15 offenses in the nation. Tech is number 1, by the way, in points scored per game. Texas Tech is. So if you like, this is your game. Texas Tech at Utah, my number 3 in the college football Power 5.
It's good that you say that because that's my number 2.
Well, then get on into it.
And like you said, lots of offense to come. It's just like, in terms of the play we're going to see on the field, that's like a classic Big 12 game. A lot of points scored, and you got 2 really fun quarterbacks on both ends. Baron Morton on the Texas Tech side was really good last year and is coming into his own this year and has just been nothing short of incredible with the arm. And these 2 teams are ranked neck and neck with each other, 17-16 at Texas Tech, number 17, and Utah at number 16. And the line is a little bigger than I thought. I understand Utah is playing at home, so They're
Yeah, the
favored by
Moss.
3.5, but check out the over-under 57.5. That's pretty high.
Utah has always been a top 10 defensive team. Morgan Scalley, one of the great names in all of college. Morgan Scalley, their defensive coordinator, does a great job with that Utah defense. It'll be a challenge for Tech. And Utah's got one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the nation in Devin Dampier.
Yeah, transferring in from New Mexico. And I remember coming back from, I think it was the first Colby football game, and turning on the TV and seeing Devin Dampier just destroy UCLA, or that might have been the week before, but regardless, watching him just annihilate them and kind of show UCLA for what they are now, just not a good football team, and then do his job against Cal Poly in Wyoming. They face their first, I guess you could say, worthy opponent in a Texas Tech team that's really good. And again, these are two teams that are probably vying for top spots in the Big 12 since Kansas State is essentially cleared out of the way here. But sorry, fans of K-State. I mean, there's a lot of you listening to this, but there's been a lot of bad talk about K-State in the past week on this show, but I'll leave that there. But it might be Utah, Texas Tech, and then Iowa State vying for that top spot in the Big 12. So it's a lot of fun to see two of those teams battle it out this early.
Moving on here to my number 2 team. I'm going Big 10 here. Top 20 matchup between Illinois and Indiana.
My number 1.
These two teams, look, the SIG, as they like to call him, Kurt Signetti,
SIG 10,
has done an unbelievable job there in Bloomington. He's been phenomenal with how he's been able to put this team together and continue to win. I don't think they're as good as they were last year. I think they've taken a step back, but they're still finding ways to win. Illinois and Brett Bielema, he does what he does. He builds offensive lines. He runs the football with physical backs. He has a good quarterback in Luke Altmaier, and they play solid defense. This is going to be a great Big Ten game. Illinois, Indiana, and honestly kind of an elimination game once again when you're talking about possibly a playoff spot. If you're Indiana, you want to get back in that conversation for the playoff, win this game. If you're Illinois and you want to stay in the conversation, win this game. So I love these big-time games. Illinois at Indiana, going to be a really good one there in Bloomington.
Well, I agree with you because it's my number 1 game.
Number 1 game.
Come on. It's classic Big Ten football right there.
By the way, is it Indiana is 5.5-point favorites? Is that what they are? Yeah, I think they are. I think Indiana's 5.5-point favorites at home.
Yes. Wow, yeah. I think 5.5 is
big.
A lot.
Big number there.
Well, there goes my laptop, so my notes are gone. But I've got it tapped in up here.
Charge that thing.
It's funny. I've had this laptop for 10 years, so now it just dies on me randomly. I should just have it plugged in at all times. I need to get a new laptop, but that's besides the point. I mean, I love Luke Altmaier. I remember watching him kind of come up last year in his first year as a full-time starter, and it's like that guy could be one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten next year, and he's shown it in the first 3 games here so far, and this is the highest we've seen Illinois ranked in a while. So it's always cool to see Illinois compete and be a really good football team. And I'm happy they're getting the respect they deserve in the AP poll. And on the other side, Indiana trying to kind of avenge that late season hiccup that they had with Kurt Signetti in that game against Notre Dame. They just couldn't get anything going until the very end, but got a new
Notre Dame played for a national championship. I don't know if I'd call that
I know.
Hiccup. They got beat by a better team.
I guess I'm saying this in terms of how much that game was played up by Kurt Signetti. Like, oh, we're going to go in there. And I don't remember if he declared
that's how the SIG works. That's how the SIG works.
He was talking a real big game. And I love Signetti. I mean, he's
big.
A very fun personality, and he brings some juice to college football. And now he's got a new quarterback in Fernando Mendoza, who's got a lot of hype behind him coming from Cal. And he's impressed over the first few weeks, leads the conference in passing touchdowns with 9. And now he's getting his first real big boy matchup here against Illinois. And man, I think that's just going to be a fun game. Illinois has a very good defense. Indiana's got a solid defense. They returned a couple of their best players on that side, Aiden Fisher and D'Angelo Pons, a couple of guys that came over from JMU with Signetti last year. That's just going to be a great game. And being a Big Ten guy, that it warms my heart waiting for that one.
My number 1 game is Auburn at Oklahoma. I think you've got Hugh Freeze, who's been under the microscope there at Auburn for his whole entire tenure. He's got them in the top 25. He wins this game at Oklahoma. All of a sudden, the pressure goes off of him for a couple of weeks. Or if you're Oklahoma, you're trying to make the college football playoff. And like you said, John Mateer has looked good. Interesting factoid, I believe the two quarterbacks in this game, John Mateer and who's the Auburn quarterback?
Jackson Arnold. Yep.
Former Oklahoma quarterback, by the way.
Yes.
I think they played each other in high school. I think they played each other in high school. So a fun little side story there with Auburn, Oklahoma. There you go. The college football Power 5 for week number 4 here in the college football season. An interesting slate. Maybe not the most dominant slate, but you can find some good games in there if you want to go fishing. So, all right, we got to get to a break. We're way overdue. We will get to a break. We'll come back. Michael Bruns, Husker 24/7, joins us next here on the Morning Blitz.
Shift your career into high gear with Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. They're hiring a service and parts advisor and a loop tech, and they want you on their team. You'll get competitive pay, full-time hours, health insurance, a 401k, and plenty more benefits, all while working with the crew that keeps the tri-state area moving. So don't idle. Apply today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Your next career is waiting right there under the hood.
We've been serving ag families for generations because we believe farming isn't just a job, it's a legacy. Whether you're just starting out or expanding your operation, F&B Bank has flexible lending solutions designed for you. This is Loan Officer Kennedy Frank at F&B Bank. We're proud to be your hometown ag lender, member FDIC.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning, Jared Law with the Andersons in Overland Park, Kansas with your morning market update. It's Wednesday, September 17th in the overnight session. D's corn up half a cent, 4.30. March up half a cent, 4.47.5. May up a quarter of a cent at 4.57. D's down a quarter at 4.69 Soybeans on the November up 1 1/4, 10.51. Jan up 1, 10.70 March up 1, 10.85 AC wheat on the December up a quarter of a cent, 5.23 March unchanged, 5.44 May down a quarter, 5.58. July down a quarter, 5.70.5. Chicago wheat up a quarter, 5.34. Feeder cattle yesterday finished 358.32.5. Live cattle 233.45. Lean hogs 97.37.5. Crude oil futures down 27 cents a barrel at 64.25. Gold futures down 24.90 an ounce, 3,664. Even silver down 57 at 41.90. U.S. dollar index up 15 points at 96.40. Dow futures up 70 at 45,854. S&P futures unchanged 6,610.75. Need to move any cash grain and want to talk about risk management, you can reach out to myself, Jared Law, Tom Sudo, or Tyler Ghosh, 913-748-3000. If you're out in Colorado, you can reach out to John Hinke or John Stiles at 970-744-4484.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
At Hogemeyer, our pride is homegrown. We are right here to serve these families and fields. Right here to fight through storms and surprises. Right here with smarter agronomics, better yield performance, and world-class corn and soybean products, backed by Corteva Agriscience. We'll always be loyal and local, so you, our neighbor, always get the right seed. Learn more at golocals.therightseed.com.
It's the Morning Blitz.
We're having a great time, couple of laughs, everything's nice.
Weekday mornings from 7 to 8 Mountain, 8 to 9 Central.
All right, we're back here on the Morning Blitz. Once again, glad you're with us. Thanks again to those listening on the EpiBank text line at 785-899-2222. Jared's in on the show again this morning. He's predicting my Huskers are going to lose. He hates Nebraska, which is fine. It comes with the territory of being a Buffalo fan. He doesn't like them at all, which is fine. I know. Have you ever been to such a hostile? I mean, I don't know. Have you ever been to a Michigan-Ohio State game?
I can't believe. Well, oh yeah, of course I have. What am I talking about? I'm very, very lucky. Had a chance to call a quarter of that with student radio this past year.
But have you been in the crowd for one?
I unfortunately not. I mean, if it permits this year or next year, I might try and swindle my way over. I can't believe I've lived 22 years of life and I haven't been in the crowd for one of those.
I'm just kind of curious because, well, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I had never gone to a Colorado-Nebraska game in Colorado until a couple of years ago. And I'm telling you, that was a sight and an experience to behold. I have never seen so much hatred for another color. I mean, it is unbelievable, the amount of hatred and mean things and fights. I mean, I honestly can't believe it. It really blew my mind. Like,
the Buffs don't like red.
No, they do not. They hate it. And boy, do they show it. I mean, I saw people belittling women and children. I mean, they have no souls. I'm just like, these are awful. But I also laugh at it because I'm like, this is unbelievable. I mean, the hatred is, I know Jared agrees, the hatred and disdain is real. I mean, it is. They absolutely
incredible
hate. And I mean hate. And that's a strong word, but they hate Nebraska. It's unbelievable. Anyway, all right, let's get to our guest today. Yesterday, I was Michael Bruns is never able to join us live on the show. He has a ridiculous morning schedule, but he was able. I texted him yesterday. I said, "Could you join us on the show?" He goes, "Well, I could join you here in about 10 minutes." I'm like, "Okay, sign me up. We'll have you on." But Michael Bruns joined me yesterday from Husker 24/7 Sports to talk about the big game happening in Lincoln this Saturday when the Michigan Wolverines come to town. Michael, thank you so much for spending your time. Tell me, what's the energy like in Lincoln this weekend?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of excitement. People looking forward to the game. The whole first three games has kind of been, well, can you do the first three games have been great, but can you do it against Michigan? And I guess we're going to find out if Nebraska can. So I think there's a lot of expectation around this game.
What did you take away from those first three games, and how much could you take away from them?
I think you could take a fair amount. Certainly the level of competition in, Akron and Houston Christian probably wasn't, what you'd like to play early in the season. But I think Nebraska did gain a lot of confidence from that. I think the fact that they were able to kind of just go in there and take care of business with the ease that they did, I mean, that's progress in itself. Nebraska's only given up 7 points in the last two games. Dylan Raiola is completing almost 80% of his passes. I mean, you just kind of go down the list of things that Nebraska is doing well right now. I think the challenge is how do you kind of take that success and kind of get recentered and focused a little bit on what's going to be a pretty talented Michigan team that's going to come in here. So I do think there was a lot of value in those first three games. I mean, you won a one-score game against Cincinnati, which has been Nebraska's issue for many years. And it feels like, especially offensively, a group that's, playing confident football right now and has the potential to be even better, because I don't think they've played their best football yet. So very eager to kind of see how that looks against Michigan. But I think Nebraska is kind of rolling through and kind of workmanlike way, taking care of business. I think that's a sign of progress there.
Michael Bruns, our guest from Huskers 24/7 Sports, joining us on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline. In your personal opinion, do you like how this schedule kind of laid out, how they had the first three games? It was a tough game to start, a couple of cupcakes, or do you wish it would kind of been mixed around a little bit different? Do you think it helps this team have success in these next few weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that you played an FBS team right out of the gates and a Power 4 team right out of the gates in Cincinnati, I mean, it was a air quotes road game, but essentially a home game. And I think that helped Nebraska. But I think that, kind of having to find a way to navigate that first game and find a way to win. I mean, I think there's a lot of value in that long term. I mean, when you look at Matt Rule's teams in year three at various stops, the kind of common thread there, they've won, but they've also won a lot of those close games and one-score games. And I think that was progress against Cincinnati, that they went in there and took care of business and made the play when they needed to. So, the schedule I think was fine. they've gotten a lot of their second and third team guys some work too, which I think is really important nowadays to, if you're playing, 13, 14, more than that games sometimes, there's a lot of value in those early season games of being able to get your second and third team guys snaps because you're going to count on them at some point. And I think that's the case for Nebraska at a few positions for sure.
Michael, when you look, we're already a quarter of the way through this season, at least the regular season we are. It's hard to believe that, but we are. What are some things that stood out that you thought have been really good and some things that you are still like, I don't know about that yet. We're going to find out more in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I think the jury's still out a little bit on Nebraska's run defense. I mean, obviously they struggled with the quarterback run game and tempo against Cincinnati. And I think that's something that teams like Michigan, Michigan State, and teams that have more mobile quarterbacks are certainly going to take advantage of to try to hurt Nebraska with. This week that they kind of are doing some things differently schematically and philosophically to kind of help defend better against running quarterbacks, which I think is going to be a big challenge with this Michigan game and Bryce Underwood. I think offensively, I don't think there's too many nits to pick there. I mean, I think, the top line offenses look pretty darn good. You'd like to see a little bit more usable depth at the running back spot. I think those have been the kind of big takeaways is that you still need somebody to be able to step in there and give you some solid snaps behind him at Johnson. Red zone offense, I think, is another thing that, they need to kind of work on a little bit. It's looked good at times. They were right at 70% in terms of scoring drives against Houston Christian, but when you've got the ball inside the 5, you got to be able to punch it in for a touchdown. And that's something that Nebraska still is kind of trying to find a way to do. So, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention special teams. That's been a big improvement. Obviously not punting the last 2 games has, skewed things a little bit, but, the coverage has been good. You've seen Nebraska really make an effort to try to return punts and you're seeing that reflected in the field position battles that Nebraska's won, and also just kind of a steadiness in that era of the game that you just had not seen for the last few years. So I think that's a sign of progress as well.
Michael Brunt's our guest from Huskers 24/7 Sports. You've seen these numbers like you've talked about already. Dylan Raiola completing 80% of his passes. Emmett Johnson, one of the top rushers in the Big Ten yardage wise. I think Pro Football Focus has Nebraska special teams ranked one of the highest in the nation, if not number 1. I mean, how much of these numbers are skewed because of who they've played? Or do you think some of these things, they may not stay the same, like right where they are, but they might stay up where they're at in these kind of rankings?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it's a reflection of competition. I mean, Akron's one of the worst FBS teams out there right now, and you played a middle of the road FCS team, Houston Christian. But I do think though, the efficiency with which Nebraska's played, I think you can kind of move that forward. I mean, I think Dylan Raiola is doing a really nice job of just kind of taking the easy plays. He's shown the last 2 games they had the big play threat if they want it, but I think he's done a good job of kind of running the offense, getting Nebraska into good, even, checking into good running plays. I mean, I think he's shown a really good understanding of what Dana Holgorsen wants. Really understands what defenses are trying to do against Nebraska and kind of taking advantage of that. And I think that's something that is going to serve Nebraska well the rest of the year. So I think that's a positive sign. I mean, I am kind of curious to see if Nebraska's secondary can keep up the run that they're on. They've given up fewer than 70 passing yards in the first 3 games. Obviously, that's probably not going to hold, but I do think that secondary has the ability to kind of clamp teams down, and it's probably the strength of that defense right now. And I think they're going to be tested in a big way against Michigan this week, and they're going to have to be ready to go there.
Michael Bruns, continue our guest from Huskers 24/7 Sports, joining us on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware hotline of this edition of the Morning Blitz. Defensively, they've looked really solid. How much are you concerned, though, about the size up front, though, particularly as you get into Big Ten play of the defensive line?
Yeah, I think it's just, kind of relying on guys to, that are still kind of new to the roles that they're in. I mean, Elijah Judy has never been a, first team defensive lineman before this season. Same with Riley Van Poppel. You're asking Cam Lenhart to be in a little bit of a different role. Keona Davis, redshirt true sophomore. So, those guys are still new to roles that are new to them. And I think that's something that you have to be at least a little bit concerned about against some of the teams in the Big Ten that are just going to try to line up and run the ball right at you. I think, Michigan's going to do some of that. I think, they're going to mix in some of the quarterback run game as well. But, that group especially is going to be tested a lot over these next few weeks. And we're going to find out if they're up to the task. And, I think Nebraska's going to have to get a little help from John Butler in terms of how he schemes things up and how they choose to defend things. But, when you're kind of looking down the list of keys for this game, being able to at least limit Michigan in the traditional run game and force Bryce Underwood to have to make throws and plays with his feet, I think that's kind of what the game plan is going to be. So it's going to be a big game for this defensive front to show that they can hang in there and, take Michigan off schedule with what they want to do.
How big of a game does this become, especially if Nebraska wins this game? How much does this weight does this have, or is it just another game on the schedule?
Well, officially it's probably another game on the schedule, but I think in terms of, what it actually means for Nebraska, I mean, it's huge. I mean, it would be their first win over a ranked team since 2016. I mean, think about that. I mean, that's just crazy when you say that out loud. But it also, I think, kind of, you look at what's ahead, and you've got Michigan State, and you've got a bye week before you get to Michigan State. So you got time to get healthy. Then you're at Maryland, and then you're at Minnesota, Northwestern, and then USC, and you're already into November then. So if you get past Michigan here, I mean, you're basically facing 3 coin flip-ish type games over the next 3 that are very winnable. And Nebraska, if they play well, can go in there and win those games. And, the runway gets pretty wide then for what Nebraska can do in 2025. It's still there if they don't get past Michigan. But I think, the confidence that you would see from beating Michigan at home, from beating a name program like that, and beating a name program that's really, frankly, just gone in and kind of pushed you around the last few times they've played you. There's a lot of confidence to be gained there. So it's a big one. I mean, it feels like this is probably the biggest one of Matt Rule's tenure in terms of just kind of what the tipping point is on what this could be. Colorado was that way a little bit last year, but this one feels really important as well. When you've got a Michigan team that's not a top 5 team this year, you've got a freshman quarterback on the other sideline, and an opportunity to really kind of start getting the ball rolling down the hill here.
It's interesting to hear John Butler and Dana Holgorsen kind of talk about how they're excited to face, the Big Ten competition. At least Dana Holgorsen said that. And how interested are you to see what those two guys, that are big name guys in the game of football when it comes to OC and DC? How do you think? How excited are you to kind of see how they just scheme up things like you said to put their team in the best position to have success?
Yeah, I think, Dana's really interesting. I mean, I'm more eager to kind of see what this offense can kind of grow into. I do think Nebraska skill-wise is better around Dylan Raiola this year. I think the offensive line is better and a little bit more consistent up front than what they've been the last couple of years. And when you have that kind of steadiness and things that you can kind of rely on, I think that allows you to scheme things up in a particular way and maybe do a little bit more advanced stuff. Like I said, I mean, I think Dylan Raiola is just playing at a really high level right now that probably isn't getting the run that it deserves. I think part of that's who Nebraska's played. I think part of that is that people are kind of waiting to see, how this kind of looks once they get into Big Ten play. But I mean, it wasn't long ago that Dylan was down in the 40s among, Power 4 quarterbacks and where they ranked preseason. And, the efficiency he's playing with, the way that he's running that offense, I think it's at least the potential is there for good things for Nebraska. And I really like that pairing of him and Dana Holgerson. I really think they can do some things in Big Ten play.
I'll let you go on this one, Michael. What do you think that atmosphere will be like on Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, it's a shame it's not a night game, but I think Memorial Stadium, it feels like every year you get like one for sure, maybe two games where like people are really dialed in and like it's loud. And part of it last year with Colorado was the way things had kind of played out the year before, and Deion Sanders and the kind of the hatred of that rivalry. I think people are going to be really dialed in on this one. I mean, I think people sense the opportunity. It's going to be a 2:30 CBS game. There's going to be that buzz. CBS was saying this is the best matchup between two top-rated quarterbacks since 2019. So there's that piece of it too. So I would hope the atmosphere is good. They sell beer in Memorial Stadium now, so at least people will be able to make sure they can go 4 quarters. So we'll see if they can hold up their end of it. But I'm expecting a pretty good atmosphere, and especially if Nebraska gets off to a quick start in this one.
How about you and the media? How's the food been for you guys with the new provider?
It's been fine. No complaints. The cookies are always good at halftime. But yeah, no complaints. It seems like things have been a little bit smoother all around after the first home game. So hopefully that continues for everybody. The lines were a lot less in the concourses last week.
Well, everyone has to make adjustments, even the concession stand people in the game of football. So Michael Bruntz of Husker 24/7 Sports. Michael, thank you so much for taking the time as always. Great to catch up, and we'll do it again soon. Thank you.
Sounds good, Ross. Thanks.
Once again, Michael Bruntz of Huskers 24/7 Sports. We'll take our final timeout, come back, wrap it up with some volleyball and some other news as well to wrap up a Wednesday show here on the Morning Blitz.
Hey, it's Joel Navarro with NWKS Radio, inviting you to join me along with a bunch of my friends in honor of Recovery Month at a Rock and Recovery event this Saturday at Bike Park in Colby, Kansas from 1 to 7:30. It's hosted by the High Point Advocacy Group. There'll be bouncy houses, face painting, vendors, food trucks, hair braiding, plus a free concert from the Kansas City Groove Therapy. This is a chance to celebrate recovery for some and hope for recovery for others. Don't miss this big event this Saturday at Bike Park in Colby.
It's back and it's bigger. I know we say that a lot, but it is. Oakley's annual gun, coin, knife, and collectibles show at the Western Vista Complex Center this weekend, 306 Sunrise Avenue in Oakley. Bigger facility, well, more exhibitors. There'll be show discounts and things you can win, like those guns through the Oakley VFW. It's this Saturday from 9 to 5 p.m. and this Sunday from 9 to 3 p.m. at the Western Vista Complex. Sponsored by the Oakley VFW Auxiliary Post 2981 and Oakley Area Tourism.
Whether it's touchdowns, home runs, or buzzer beaters, we've got you covered. It's the Morning Blitz.
Okay, a couple quick things here before we get out of here today. I want to get to some volleyball from yesterday, some scores. Oakley with sweeps of Hill City and Smith Center. They're 18-0. They have not lost a match. They are unbeaten. They have the best record in all of high school volleyball, at least here in the Northwest Kansas point. But there are some other really good teams this year. Goodland only has one loss. Quinter's 10-3. They earned 2 more wins last night. They sweep Otis Bison in Ness City. Hoxie only has one loss. It came to Oakley. They swept TMP and Russell last night. Golden Plains went 1-1 at their triangular last night, sweeping Northern Valley, but losing to Victoria. Greeley County, Tribune Greeley County, the Jackrabbits 2-0 last night, sweeps of Wallace County and St. Francis. They're 11-2 on the season. So like I said, 11-2, 9-1, 10-3, 18-0, 5-1. There's some good records out there in high school volleyball. Speaking of volleyball, tonight, the 12th ranked Lady Trojans back on their home floor in Jayhawk Conference play. They host the Lady Conks from Dodge City. That's what's happening tonight. We mentioned a little bit of baseball here. Royals lose 12-5 to the Mariners. Golly, Cal Raleigh, 56 home runs, the big dumper, tying Ken Griffey Jr. for the record for the Mariners. He's going to have over 60 when it's all said and done. He's been unreal.
2 weeks to get it.
Yeah, he's got plenty of time. You'd think he'd get it. Although, bright spot Carter Jensen, the rookie for the Royals last night, had 2 home runs. So that was pretty big for him. but they get blown out 12-5. Rockies lose despite a late rally, 6-5 to the Marlins. It's 110th loss. What do you think the final number will be for losses for the Rockies this year? Let's write it down. Put this on a piece of paper.
So what? There are
the total number of losses. There are 11 games left. I looked this up. 11 games left for the Rockies. They have 110 losses. What will the loss number be?
I think they rally and win 3 more games. So I think that's mean.
We are so close. I was going to say 118 is going to be the loss number.
Yeah, so I guess that would make it 119 for me if I'm giving them 3 wins.
But they got 11 games left. So 8 minus oh yeah, that's right. Okay, I'm going to say 118. And you're saying 119?
119. Yeah, they're going to get just above the a few games above the all-time record for most losses, or under, I should say.
Golly, they've just almost looks like they've given up. I don't know. Golly, that 120 might be within reach. I'm going to be nice though and say 118 is what I'm going to say.
Fair.
Yikes. All right, we got to get to the walk-off.
And back lifts his ball deep to right. How about a walk-off Gray? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes swings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
So Connor doesn't know this story, and I want to thank a listener for texting. And I did not see this, but thank you to this texter. So there was a young man here who played 8- and 6-man football named Brock Wolf. His dad was a great football player in college. But anyway, he went to Kansas State as a gray shirt. Never made it because of, roster limitations. Now was asked to transfer out of the program. He did. He's now playing at South Dakota. Brock Wolf saw he got the start early in the season. He's been the starter at right tackle for the Yotes since the start of the season. This week, he was named the Missouri Valley Conference Offensive Lineman of the Week. Pretty darn cool. The sad part is that's probably not the most interesting video of Brock Wolf on social media, because I came across a video of him throwing up 3 times at the line of scrimmage in their previous game.
Oh my God.
Like in a stance, ready to fire out. Then
Jeez. Do you stop play? Do you have someone go out there and clean that up?
Keep going. It's so funny. They brought a wide receiver in motion to line up next to him, and then wide receiver's like, I don't want to step in that.
Jeez.
Just threw up and kept going. Oh, that's
rallied.
Funny. Super, super funny. Anyway, congratulations to Brock Wolf, though, on being the MIAA Offensive Lineman of the Week. So, it's not MIAA, is that? I don't think it is, but he's an Offensive Lineman of the Week there for the Yotes. Pretty darn cool, nonetheless. All right, that does it for our program today. Thanks to Michael Bruns, and as always, thanks to you for listening. We're back again tomorrow. We hope you join us for a Thursday edition of the Morning Blitz. We'll see you then.
Classic rock